Hey, like nobody's ever asked me that question. Sales is the transfer of I have something that you may want or you may need, and here's how much money it is. At the end of the day, what people get caught up in is I don't want to be rejected. So there's a formula for rejection. It's time, energy, effort, risk, money, or reputation. If I had a way to help you with that, would you want to know more?
Of course.
Most simple sales process in the world. It does remodel work. Okay, I come from the home services business. I've done thousands of ride-alongs with salespeople in heating and air, plumbing, roofing, electrical, remodels. Like this is something I can talk way deep on.
Hey guys, I got somebody I'm going to introduce you to. His name is Sylvan Bell. His show is the How to Sell Show. He says, did you know that every conversation on the planet of Earth is a sales call? We're either selling something or we're being sold. And in his content, he releases the tips, tools, and tricks and the unlocks of how to turn any sales call in the direction you desire it to go, or at least give your best effort. And he teaches a really beautiful way of doing this because the guy's moral compass is better than most I've ever met. Sylvan Bell is world renowned. Understand this, I really consume content of world champions in their spaces. I learn from the best because I invest my time into learning these things. I actually came across Scott's content while remodeling because I was listening to his content while I was doing a project. For hours and hours, I actually started binge listening to his podcast. I became so enthralled because he reminded me of some of my childhood mentors through content. Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Tom Hopkins, Anthony Robbins, thousands upon hundreds of thousands of dollars in masterminds and courses. And he's taken this information and he's compartmentalized it and he's made it possible for salespeople to learn how to get trained to do a better job. If you're in business, you need to understand how to sell and stop understanding that the word sell is a negative term, because it is not. I want to introduce you to my friend because I not only binged watch his content, I tracked him down, I trolled him, and I asked him countless times if I could interview him. He actually took me seriously. He came out to Hawaii. I met him. He came to my own home. We sat in my backyard and I asked him anything I wanted to. He actually said, Mike, I don't even care if you tell me what the questions are ahead of time. I'll answer it truthfully and honestly, and this was the byproduct. I hope you enjoy this video. And guys, please go check out Sylvan Bell on Pandora. That's how I found him. On YouTube, on Facebook. The guy is a sales genius. Without further ado, here is Sylvan Bell. Guys, if you know me, if you've been watching my content, you know one thing. I love learning. This is Sylvan Bell. His show is called the How to Sell Show, and I have learned exponentially. I love his content, and I'm excited to interview him because I'm going to ask him some of the tough questions. You guys want to stay tuned? This is the tips, tools, and tricks of how to take your business and 10x it. Here we go. Let's get started. Scott, welcome, man.
Hey, let's do this right. Like, I gotta get that. What's up,
aloha? Yeah.
How's it, bro?
How's it, my brother? We are in Hawaii. This is right here. We are in true Hawaii, and you love Hawaii.
I love Hawaii. Got the aloha shirt on and everything today.
Man, Scott is in Hawaii, and I've actually trolled him. I'm a troll now, guys. I know how you feel. All right, so I've gotten into his content. I've dove deep. And I've actually, it's been emotional for me, honestly, to hear a lot of his stories. I connect with his stories. And he showed up today at my house here in Hawaii. And I'm so excited he said, like a true salesman, he goes, what are we going to do today? You want to do a video? I'm like, of course. I knew if I wasn't prepped to do a video, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah. And sure enough, I show up with a tripod and camera gear and recording gear. And here's a strategy that I can give you. I did an interview yesterday with a guy named Steve Sims. Mm-hmm. And Steve Sims is, like, in my mind, a baller. This guy, he wrote a book called Blue Fishing. And so I'm one of his friends on Facebook, and about 3 weeks ago, he says, I'm going to do a video on sponsorship. What would you ask me? I'm like, I want to just ask you one question. I'd do a whole interview. So I took 15 minutes and I lined out an interview, and I said, Steve, here's the interview that I would do with you. And I see like the little bubbles, like I can see the wheels turning in his head on the phone. And he says, why don't you just do the interview for me? And so yesterday, I did a live interview with Steve Sims because I was prepared. And so if there's one strategy that I can give you, it's like always be prepared, hands down, to do an interview, drop of the hat. You want to do an interview? Yes. Can you shoot video? Yes. You want to do a yes.
It's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not get one than to get an opportunity and not be prepared.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that about you. I love that, in one of your lives the other day on Facebook, you said, always say yes.
Yeah.
Always say, and I've reached out to a lot of influencers in my time on YouTube, and most of them, 95% of them, don't respond back.
Yeah.
When you have an influencer respond back, you jump on that opportunity, you say thank you, and you make sure that you give more value than what you're asking in return. Would you agree?
Yeah, and at the stage of where I'm at, I get people to reach out to me, and here's something that I really struggle with. If you're going to take the time to reach out to an influencer, prove that you've thought about what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. So like if I were to reach out to Mike and say, hey, I want to do an interview with you, what I might do is say, I would love to do an interview, and here's the 10 questions that I would ask. Mm-hmm. Because like it shows that you're prepared, and if they're interesting and they're not softball questions, I might just go, hey, like nobody's ever asked me that question. So if I do an interview, I want to dig in and I want to say, hey, what's something that you want to give up in a detail that you never have? And I want that person to sit there and go, I've never really thought about that. But like now that you ask, like that's a good question.
Yeah, I love that. I go to lots and lots of conferences about how to use YouTube for modern marketing.
Yeah.
And something that I believe is missing is sales.
Yeah.
They don't teach sales. And I want to ask you, why do you think other marketing platforms, other marketing agencies don't understand sales the way that you do?
So let's have a conversation about what sales is, and then that'll help define. Sales is the transfer of, I have something that you may want or you may need, and here's how much money it is. But I pretty much read almost every book written on sales prior to 2012. And at the end of the day, what people get caught up in is, I don't want to be rejected. So there's a formula for rejection. It's time, energy, effort, risk, money, or reputation. Mm-hmm. If I put one of those 6 on the line, it allows for me to be rejected. If I put 6 of 6 on the line, it allows for me to be heavily rejected.
Yeah.
Okay. So like sometimes people might say, well, I wasted time. Well, it's hardly ever that you wasted time if you got something from it. Now, what a lot of people face is not rejection, it's regret. Because on the converse side, if you don't put in time, energy, effort, risk, or money, or reputation, then you come back and go, I wish I would have.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
like it's a case of I should have versus I wish I would have. Mm-hmm. And so like when you think about it, I think that a lot of people don't want to come across slime ball. They don't want to come across like I'm trying to push something. So like if I just did a basic sales formula with you and I said, hey, Mike, what's something you're struggling with right now?
Being overweight, man.
If I had a way to help you with that, would you want to know more?
Of course.
Most simple sales process in the world.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that your viewers watch? What is it that they do? What is it that they, what kind of job do they have? So like, let's say Joe is watching right now and he does...
He does remodel work.
He does remodel work. Okay.
Yeah.
I come from the home services business. I've done thousands of ride-alongs with salespeople in heating and air, plumbing, roofing, electrical, remodels. So like this is something I can talk way deep on. Here's what happens is I come and I sit with you at your family in your home and we build rapport. Oh, you like Hawaii? I like Hawaii. Oh, you like pulled pork? I like pulled pork. And then there becomes a point in time where there's a crossover and I am no longer a friendly rapport building guy. All of a sudden, I turn and my voice changes and my words become stupendous and like all of a sudden I am now a salesperson. And like sitting at a table, companies pay me to go ride with salespeople. So sitting at a table, I have seen this. And like there is like, you see people and their brain just kind of goes, what just happened? So I am the same person as I am sitting here, as I am in a sales process, as I am in an interview, for the sole reason that I don't have to complicate my life and I don't have to be something that I'm not. And so I don't look for perfection. And so one of the things that happens in sales processes is if you think you need to be perfect, you're going to search for perfect words and perfect phrases instead of saying, what can I do to help you?
Right.
So if it comes down to it and you got Joe that's the remodeler, I would say, hey, Mike, paint me the vision of what you want this kitchen to look like.
I see.
Give me your vision.
That. Yes.
Share with me how are you going to entertain? Are you a cook? Mm-hmm. Because how you live your life is going to dictate to me how you're going to do things. Now, here's something that people really struggle with, and it's the money. Mm-hmm. People struggle with money conversations because as a society, we're talking about it's not polite to ask about money. Now, if I'm sitting down with you, I'm going to say something along the lines of this. When I come and sit down with you and have a conversation about the remodeling of your home, your property, your bathroom, your kitchen, your house, what you need to know is your needs are going to dictate the investment. So there are going to be times where I'm going to have to ask you for $100,000, and there's going to be times where I ask you for 10. Is it okay if I tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear?
Perfect question. I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so let's say that you say no.
Then you have, I mean, where do you go from there?
Hey, I don't think that we're going to be a good fit.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if you're more worried about the budget than doing this right, I mean, I get it. Billionaires are on a budget.
Yeah.
People who sell their businesses for millions of dollars are on a budget. But like when you're dealing with somebody that they only care about the price, they are the first to complain. They are the most difficult. They are the person that will tell all of their friends and family that they got this huge discount from you. And so if they refer anybody, that person's going to be expecting rock bottom prices.
I would say though, a lot of people don't go that route. They're going to give you permission, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what a good lead in to get permission to start the yes process. You're already getting them to say yes. And I heard some price conditioning in there. You're doing this really high price. You're doing a lower price, but it's not going to be less than 10K. You're setting that. I mean, there's gold. I hope you guys are listening. And if you're getting value out of this, hit that like button. And I want you to share. Remember, Scott Sylvan Bell, the How to Sell Show is how I found him, but I'm going to list everything below. This content from this man will change the way you think about business. Let's keep going, man.
Yeah, so like I want you to do something for me today. And if you could do a huge favor for me, I want you to think of the hardest questions that you would ask a guest, and I will give them to you no filter, raw, no, just like you ask. I help business owners, I help salespeople. I've been in 8-9-figure businesses. I've been in $1,000 businesses. I've seen it all.
Okay.
And so if there's something that your viewers and your listeners would really love to hear about, I'll spill my guts as much as I can.
I got one for you right now, Scott.
Yeah.
So you go in and you teach businesses, high-level businesses, how to sell. You teach their salespeople. I've also heard that you actually, the biggest impact you make on people is when a particular salesperson reaches out to you as opposed to his company.
Yeah.
When somebody invests money, honestly, they take it more serious. But I got a question. If you were in the other side of the table, if you had you coming to you, would you pass the test? Would you be guilty of doing the principles that you teach in your own business?
Ask me that another way. I want to make sure that I understand what you're
What I'm
asking
saying
me. Do I
is,
live up to what I say?
Do you practice what you preach as far as your own business?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I will tell you this. I have bad days. I had a client that skipped out on a $15,000 bill on me. I get rejected. I have impostor syndrome. I have...
Can you explain impostor syndrome? Because I don't think they're
that's fine. So like there's days where you wake up and you're like, should I be doing this? There's days that you wake up and you're like, am I a fraud? There's days that you wake up, there's days that I wake up and I question, am I good at what I do? Right?
Yeah.
I truly do. And so it's funny because I was on a live stream on Monday and I was telling the participants, like, look, these are the real life things that I'm going through. My life is not all sunshine and rainbows in Hawaii. I have problems just like you do. I don't ever want anybody to think that I live this perfect life and none of this stuff happens to me. Do I screw up on sales calls? Absolutely. Do I miss deals? Yep. Do I get rejected? Yep. But every time that something happens in my life, I look for a way to find value in it and take something from it. I find a way to say, that sucked. I don't want to live through it again. How do I not live through it again?
I love that. What a huge, you're looking for that opportunity. Something that I gravitated to in Scott's content is the loss of your father and how you talked about that openly, how you kept your dad's name in your show.
Yeah.
I've been dealing with that with my father and the loss of him, but I also listened to you went through an extremely hard breakup. You had a relationship and you haven't delved in that deep from the content that I've heard of. It was just this very hard thing. Has that changed the way that you think about relationships, and has it affected your business in a good or a bad way?
So let's talk. I will give you the real story. I got engaged to a girl. 10 days later, we broke up because she got married. Okay? Like my brain went, wait, this is kind of out of order.
Sure.
So 2008.
And you told me to ask the hard one, so
no, it's fine. I will. I'll bring the heat. So living through that level of rejection, as a man, I questioned what's wrong with me. I have pretty good income. Things are going good. Like there was a ton of introspective, like what I'm broken. Why am I broken? And sometimes we look at the wrong things. I spent $10,000 on therapy. I went to a therapist off the bat, and I'm like, I need help. Like, I can't deal with this in a manner that I can comprehend. I can't deal with this in something that I can just say, you know, here's how it works, right? So I've got a good friend, Bob Beverly, and he's been a therapist for 45 years. And he says, Scott, if your car breaks, do you go to a mechanic? And I said, yeah. He says, if your tooth hurts, do you go to a dentist? And I said, yeah. And he says, well, what do you do when your emotions are hurt? I said, is this a trick question? Because I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
And so he said, like, look, at the end of the day, you need to deal with the problems that you're facing, or you're never going to get past them. And it was one of the better moments of my life, but one of the most devastating moments of my life when it happened. So it's funny. I ran a sales call, and the guy that I was meeting with was a salesman, and he goes, I bet if I reject you, I'm going to hurt your feelings. And I go, nah, brah. Let me tell you a story. 2008, 2009, I was engaged, met the girl, we were out in Hawaii, got engaged. 10 days later, she called and broke up with me because she got married. And he goes, why are you telling me this? And I said, because if you're talking to me about rejection, like, you are on, like, that event was like all the way up here on me. Mm-hmm. Like, you're just some dude trying to buy a product from me, and it's not going to hurt my feelings. And the wife was sitting at the table, and she goes, honey, just buy. Like, it's going to be easier. You know, it's not... So when people talk about the things that they've been through in their personal life, it really does benefit you in your business life.
I agree.
So I've been through a lot of weird and craziness since my dad's passed. I've been through a lot of weird and craziness just in general, being inside of companies and organizations and talking to entrepreneurs. And see, what the thing is, I see a lot of people have a tough time restraining in the chaos that they have in their life because they don't know how to have the tough conversation. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to say, hey, this is okay and this isn't okay.
That's huge. I appreciate you addressing that. And the reason I asked that question is because you've obviously found a way to overcome. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, you're kind of stuck in purgatory, for lack of a better term.
Sure.
You don't know where to go. Once you break free and you have some balance, and you're teaching these salespeople, when you're teaching a salesperson who's, you know, and I've heard you talk about salespeople, a lot of them have lots of baggage. They got lots of issues going on.
Yeah.
The ones that are, because I've heard you kind of say 1 out of 10 is going to be a closer.
Yeah.
What makes them different, and how can the people watching emulate those traits?
So first, celebrate who you are. Okay? Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you 3 traits of top salespeople.
Okay.
1, they're good looking.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
2, they're socially awkward.
I'm good there. Okay.
3, they're funny.
Nice.
It's a good thing I'm good looking.
No, Scott, look where we're looking.
So, you know, salespeople will say, I need to have all of these things to do the job that I need to do. Mm-hmm. And closers will go in and they're going to ask, it's like, there's two styles to sales. Okay? There's old school, hardcore sales. I got to close you. We're going to ask the tough questions. And then on the opposite side of that, because there's a yin and a yang to everything. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is a thing that people don't understand that they need to embrace. If you're over here and you're the guy or girl that likes to ask the tough questions and you're what people would consider pushy, good. If you're the person that's over here that tends to tell stories and tends to build rapport and you close deals, good. I don't care. Like, you get a job done. Mm-hmm. It's not, I don't care which route you took to go for the delivery. I care about, did you do your job? Did you deliver after the job was sold? Mm-hmm. So, like, there's a lot of misconceptions on what sales is and isn't based upon what we've seen in movies, what we've seen on television, and what we've had trainers tell us. Now, most sales trainers would be the old school, typical, I'm going to ask you tough questions and I'm going to be pushy. And so some people are like, I don't want to be that guy or that girl. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to be. The beauty is, on one end of the spectrum, you have people that are like that. And on the other end, you have the spectrum of people who aren't. And at the end of the day, who's right? Who cares?
Right.
Do you close deals?
Right.
And I see a lot of people get caught up in all the reasons why something can't work. And so this is a good word track.
Okay.
So let's say that as a consumer, you're stuck, right? And you start giving me all sorts of objections. Like, I want to think about it. Like, I got to talk to other people. I might just say, hey, can you help me out with something?
Okay.
Are you looking for more reasons to not do this or reasons to do it?
I'm looking for reasons to do it.
Okay, so if you had one reason to do it right now, what would it be?
It's going to save me 10 times my time.
Cool. What would the other reason be?
It's going to save me money.
What would another reason be?
It's going to help my life be more efficient.
Cool. You know what? It sounds like you already know your answer of what you need to do. You're just looking for confirmation. Is that about right?
Yeah.
All right, let's get it done.
And you got the guts to ask that, man. That's
but everybody's got the guts to ask.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. You're right. I love that. I love how simple I think you've simplified it. Listening to your podcast, you take difficult concepts because let's not kid ourselves. Asking somebody for money, a lot of money, isn't natural for a lot of people.
Sure.
You know, and when you simplify it and you believe in your product, it is going to be. You can make it easy. You know, something I grew up on was Tom Hopkins, and I've heard you talk about Tom Hopkins a little bit. A lot of his stuff, in my opinion, might be not my style, but something that I love is act like a lamb, sell like a lion. I give so much value to people watching or investing their time with me. I take that so seriously that. Just like Gary Vee says, jab, 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 right hook. I'm going to give, and then ask and just cross my fingers. If you say no, we're still homies.
So here's what people get caught up in, though. Mike, I sat down with you and your family. We talked about replacing the roof. Mm-hmm. I spent 2.5 hours with you, and you told me no. I wasted my time. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a hit and run. I'm going to go in and talk to you for 15 minutes, and if you're not interested, now you can't reject me. But see, on the other end, salespeople get upset because they didn't close the deal. And so they're like, I got rejected. Like, no, you didn't get rejected. You have regret. You didn't put in time, energy, effort, risk, money, or attention or reputation to what was going on. And so what happens is in your brain, you start fighting like, do I do this or do I not do this? I got to protect my time. You're wasting my time, right? And so people feel intention. You feel intention. I feel intention. And you know when somebody doesn't like you, and I know when somebody doesn't like me. So I also know when somebody's putting a smash on me, like they're like, you got to hurry up and make a decision. And in my brain, I'm like, no. So I know you have kids. I met a few of them.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Right? So their favorite word growing up when they were 2 was?
Mommy.
No.
No. Yes, no. You're right.
And so we all have a 2-year-old brain. I'm 46 today. So my 2-year-old brain is 2 plus 44 gets me to 46, right? So we all, if you push the wrong boundary with somebody, the instant thing they're going to do is say no. So when I sit down with people, I paint the picture like, look, there's 3 things that are going to happen today. You're either going to do nothing, you're going to make a decision, or you're going to look for a different answer. You tell me which one that you want, right?
Wow. And you paint that right away.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So like going into any call, I'll tell people like, look, here is my role. It's my role and responsibility to help you find what you need. So there's probably going to be questions that you have of me. I'm going to have questions of you. I'm going to ask the questions. Just so you know, I don't have a filter. So that's either really good or really bad. It's a lot of fun or a lot of misery. You tell me. and so like I'm usually joking about it, but like I have found that the more straightforward that I can be, not aggressive, not a jerk, but my real personality in me, the better it is for the person sitting there because I'm my authentic self. I don't have to go from here's rapport Scott to sell Scott. Right?
I love that. You know, I feel like I'm in now a live podcast, which we are. I've listened to you for hours and hours. I actually plug in and listen to podcasts while I do yard work, while I'm working down at our condos. Anything that I'm doing, I try to input. Yeah. You dwell in what you dwell on. And I love your information. I think that there's a lot of people watching that would say, I'm not a salesperson. I hear this all the time.
Sure.
When I'm mentoring people, well, I'm not a salesperson. What do you say to that person?
Are you married?
Right.
Are you in a relationship? Tell you, the hardest sell that we ever make is like, hey, I think you're really attractive. You want to go out? Can I get your number? Right. If you've made that sale, then like there's you can any product and any service you can go out there. If you've got a girlfriend, if you've got a boyfriend, if you got a husband, you got a wife, you can close a deal.
Oh, that's simplicity, right?
Yeah.
That's so true. What would you say? We talked about the successful people and their traits. What are those 6 things you keep bringing up? Because I've heard this over and this is a part of you. What are those 6 things?
Time, energy, effort, risk, money, and reputation.
You should write those down.
Yeah.
And from what I'm gathering, you should risk those. You should risk those and make yourself vulnerable to help get what you want.
Yeah, you know, the best deal makers that I watch have fun making deals. So some people don't like Grant Cardone. I like Grant for the things that he's done.
I like Grant and Dave Ramsey. I like them both.
Yeah, they both have relevant information. But there's a section of video when Grant was doing Undercover Billionaire, and he needed somebody to give him $10,000. I think it was episode 3. Okay, he needed somebody to give him $10,000, and he's sitting in the chair, and he's like, Dave, I'm thinking like 10 grand. And I'm watching and I'm like, he's smiling and he's genuinely having fun.
Yeah.
Right? And he was like, game on.
Yeah. Where if you're nervous, people pick that energy up.
So like the easiest trick for anybody to do is, and I don't mean trick in a bad way, just like to trick your mind into being comfortable. If you sit and hold a glass of water or a bottle of water like you would do if you were drinking a beer or a root beer, okay? Mm-hmm. So conversationally speaking, this is an anchor. So if I was nervous for a couple of seconds, what I would do is I would pick up my nice red glass of water here, and I might just sit in a chair like I would if I was having a barbecue with a friend. Mm-hmm. Okay, so like I'm kind of rocking back and forth on the rocks right here in this chair, right? And I'm doing what I can to get comfortable. And if you notice, my voice has kind of like gone down just a little bit, and I've kind of slowed down. Like if you're practicing and you're brand new to sales, one of the coolest things that you could do is grab a root beer bottle. Henry Weinhardt, whatever you do, just go grab a root beer bottle and practice holding a root beer bottle. So like, Mike, tell me about what you and your family want from this kitchen.
Man, we want the dream kitchen. We actually don't cook. Our kids are the only ones interested in cooking, but we want our friends to think we cook. So that's what we're looking for, man.
And if you had to pick a color scheme, what would you pick?
Well, earth tones is what everybody likes, but we're tending to get more Hawaii style. So we're liking some of the brighter colors, man. That's what we're kind of going for.
You going to go with banana yellow in the kitchen?
Possibly. You got to show us the dream, brother.
Yeah. And you know, at some point we do have to talk about money. Because nothing's free, and with inflation, everything's been going up.
Right.
You know, we've got kitchens that range anywhere from $1.5 million, which you probably don't need, all the way down to about $30,000. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted to do an easy payment plan, that's probably about $350 a month.
Wow, that's better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
How hard is it to get qualified?
It's just a phone call and just an email.
Nice. I'm ready for that kitchen.
But first, we gotta talk about some of the things that you want in your kitchen. Mm-hmm. You know. Guys always want to know how much. Women want to know, you know, what's it going to look like and how's the crew going to be and do you clean up after the job is done. So I do have a few more pieces of information to go over with you. We do know that it's going to be somewhere between $30,000 and $1.5 million, but probably not $1.5 million.
Right, hopefully, because I don't want to do that. So
were you expecting something like 30, 40, or 50,000?
You know, I didn't really know what to expect because I know what's happened with supply chain. So I'm that's why you're here, to gather information and kind of see where we're going to go.
Cool. And then once you have that information, then what are you going to do with it?
We're going to get a new kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah, find the best route.
Now give me some pushback and say I want to talk to other people and get bids.
Yeah, you know, we never make a decision today, and I always shop around so that I confirm that my gut is being accurate.
Yeah, okay. You're more looking for prices or opinions?
Prices.
Now, if we say price, is that the only thing that you care about?
No, I want to make sure that I'm not sacrificing what we want for that price. If there's more value built in, I'll go for it.
So if we take a map and we plot that out, there's going to be a perfect point where price is going to meet your expectations.
Yeah.
Okay. There's also going to be a point where it's underneath your expectations. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a point today where I give you the investment amount. I don't add in a whole bunch of money today just so I could take it out later.
Smart. Okay.
Right. So like how I'm talking with you is how I would want somebody to sit down and talk with me. Mm-hmm. I don't pad my numbers. I don't put a whole bunch of in. I'll give you whatever specials that I have. I'll give you whatever I have going on. But I'm going to give you everything that I got going on up front.
I like that.
Okay, I'm a straight shooter.
Now, I hate the price games.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to ask of you. Just tell me if you like it or don't. Now, whether you say, hey, Scott, I got to talk to my wife, I completely understand. I've been in 16,000 homes.
Wow.
Right? But if it's just a polite way of telling me no, I'm okay if you tell me no.
Okay. I like that, Scott.
I have said that.
You could feel there's just no tension.
Yeah.
And you're just being real.
Yeah. I've said that thousands of times, though. I mean, I've literally sat at tables and people are like, Scott, the only thing that we're going to do is shop on price. And I said, we should probably end this conversation right now. We're both wasting each other's time.
Yeah.
I never work for a low-price company. And if all you want me to do is teach you how to buy something for cheap, I'm not going to do it. Mm-hmm. No harm, no foul. But if you're just confirming a buying decision that you've already made, there's no reason for me to be here. We are literally both wasting each other's time.
I like that. That's gold.
Yeah.
Guys, that's gold. And people pay a lot of money to be taught what you just taught.
Yeah.
You know, something that I've gotten from your content. You told in one of your podcasts that marketing is simply sales on steroids. Mm-hmm. That unlocked a ton for me. I knew I had a sales background, but I didn't understand how that was so much in the same cog. You literally, if you're a good marketer, it's because you understand sales. But my question to you is, how much have you seen sales change? Because you've been in the game a long time.
Yeah.
How much have you seen it change in the last 15 years? And is it better or worse?
Well, I will tell you this. One of the things that you're going to see coming up more and more in the world of sales is, as humans, we haven't changed how we make decisions. Okay? There's biologically how we make decisions.
I love this.
Okay? But how consumers have drawn information out from their buyers has changed. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we had something happen in March of 2020. The C-19 happened. And what happened with that is people changed the way that they do preferences. They go online, they do searches, they gather intel. So the old school way of sales was I would call somebody, gather intel from them, suss out the information, make my decision. Chances are good, though, that if you're talking to a consumer today, they've already looked up your reviews online. They've already vetted, the competitors that they're going against. They've already looked up the products that you're going to use. They've already looked at the ratings. So why wouldn't you meet them where they're at? Why wouldn't you create a buyer's guide? 10 frequently asked questions, 10 should ask questions, 10 common mistakes that people make. Mm-hmm. Okay, I call that the trio. Mm-hmm. 10 frequently asked questions, you can go online and find that pretty easily. Mm-hmm. Like, as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur, what you're going to be asked. 10 should ask questions, this is where you get to shine. These are the things that you should be asking. What kind of warranties are involved? What kind of glue is used? All the things that your competitors, whatever your competitors do as a shortcut, you highlight those things. But here is the way that you do this right. You don't sell. It's information. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like if you said, Scott, what's in your spaghetti sauce? I'd be like, well, there's brown sugar, there's tomato paste, there's meat, there's pepper. Oh, do you want to buy? Like, see how weird that is?
Yeah.
So, like, realistically, if you're going to do 10 frequently asked questions, 10 should ask questions, and 10 common mistakes, because as a consumer, we don't want to make a mistake. That's why we look at reviews.
Right.
So, at the end, you gently give a nudge. If I can be of service and I can help you with this product or service, this roof, this kitchen, these windows, these doors, this post here, let me know. It's really easy to get a hold of me. And, oh, by the way, here is a discount code for just having this with you. It's like $50 or $100 off of whatever we're going to do. Right?
Yes.
And so the way that sales has changed is people are more information gathering. Mm-hmm. And there are sales trainers in in-home sales that travel around, and you make this person say this, and then you twist their arm, and they say that. And at the end of the day, 90% of salespeople will not do that sales process as it's taught.
Right, I agree.
Because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And who knows what end of the spectrum they're on? Are they the rapport builder or the hard closer? And it's no one presentation fits it all, right?
So here is one of the things that I've learned from sitting through so many sales trainers. Mm-hmm. Is sales trainers train how they sell. Managers manage how they want to be managed. Mm-hmm. Cooks cook how they would want the food for themselves. Mm-hmm. Right? So like if it goes down that path, a lot of sales trainers that are out there don't understand that they're trying to duplicate themselves. So if you are bald and you love Hawaii and you got Aloha shirts, you're probably going to be a perfect fit for the way that I sell, okay?
Right.
But what if you're not? So if you're not, then what ends up happening is we're going to have a mismatch. You're going to be like, I would never say that. I would never do that. And so then it becomes a big struggle.
Do you reverse engineer somebody's method to help custom make something for their personality? How do you approach that when there is that friction?
I do this thing with salespeople where I'll say 99% of the time, say it how you want to. 1% say it like I do.
Okay.
And so I do this thing called training wheels. I'll say it, then you say it. And if you change it up a little bit and it's good, use it. If it's going to cause problems, I'll say, we got to pull it back. We got to make a couple of modifications. These are the things that we got to do.
The reason I ask this question is I see a lot of marketing funnels. I've heard you talk about this. I'm every podcast of yours I listen to, I go, man, this guy knows about all the stuff that I've studied for years.
Sure.
You know it. Marketing funnels, first of all, I think some of them are good, but what I do is I watch Facebook. I watch ads that come out. I click on their ads. I go into their funnel. I get advertised to. Yep. And then I pay attention. Are they around 6 weeks from now? Are they around 6 months from now? Because that'll tell me if the ad spend is working. How much of that are you implementing for companies versus still going to in-home sales? And how do you decide when an in-home sale is needed or when a marketing funnel is needed? And then with the follow-up on that question, are we going to make the door-to-door in-home sales become a dinosaur because of marketing funnels?
Yes, no, maybe.
Sorry,
no. Let me help you out here.
Yeah.
So the thing about a marketing funnel is you're looking. What is it that you want that funnel to do? Mm-hmm. Are you trying to get a lead? Mm-hmm. So like if I've got an Apple something or other, I don't know what I use an Android. My Android's over there, but I have this because I needed an Apple phone. So it was, I don't know. So are you selling an Apple phone, right? Mm-hmm. I can ship that. I can create a funnel and ship something.
Right.
A kitchen, a roof, windows, someone's got to come out and take a look and go, there's dry rot right there, there's a code violation right there, there's a header over here. We're not going to be able to, you can't do that on a funnel. But what you can do is you can sell the experience. You can pre-frame it and say, hey, look, today what's going to happen is you're going to set an appointment, we're going to call you, and we're going to have somebody come out and give you an estimate. You're really going to like the people that we have come out. They're personable, they're friendly, they're going to be clean cut, they're going to be on time, they're going to, like, whatever version is that you want that to be.
Wow.
And so like you could pre-sell what that experience is going to be like. Just so you know, they're going to have to measure your kitchen. They're going to look at your kitchen countertops. They're going to ask you a few questions. You can't tell them the questions they're going to ask because what will happen is they'll email and you're like, here's my questions. Just send me the information on the phone, right?
Right.
So like there becomes a point where you can't just call a doctor and say, hey, give me some OxyContin. They're going to ask some questions and say, here's what needs to be done. Now, there's going to be a point where you sit down with a buyer. And the buyer's not going to want to play ball. The buyer's not going to want to answer questions. The buyer's not going to... And you've got two options. You can put yourself through a torture, or you can say, hey, Mike, look, my role and responsibility here is to help you out. And I feel a little bit of friction here. Mm-hmm. So I do need the answers to the questions, or I'm just going to leave.
You got some guts, bro. I love it.
Well, okay, so it's not that I'm saying I don't want to waste my time. There's a guy named Dan Sullivan. He asks a question from Strategic Coach, and he says, how much time would you have back in your life if you didn't sit down with people who didn't ever want to do business with you?
A lot, right?
Right?
Especially when you do 1,600, or is it 16,000?
I've been in 16,000 homes.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty big number if you waste time.
But but that's not all sales presentations for me. That's also doing ride-alongs and paying attention to what other people are doing. And there becomes a point where there's a weird energy in a sales call where people are not going to do business. And like if somebody was in line and they're just standing in line and they're standing there and they're not moving, at some point you're going to, hey buddy, you going to move?
Right.
And there's very polite, like, please understand that I'm not doing this to be arrogant. I'm not doing it to be rude. But at some point you're going to have to make a decision. Right?
Yes.
And so there's been times where I say, hey, look, are we doing business or not? And I'm not starting off with that, just so you know. You're getting like chapters in a book. This is the very last chapter, right? This is like the end of the road. Hey, Mike, we've sat here a long time. We've gone through a lot of questions. It seems like we're going to be a good fit. I don't know where you're at in your mind. Are we going to do business or not? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you might give me an objection, which is?
I'm not ready to do business, man. I don't know the answer to X, Y, or Z.
Okay. Where do you think you would find that answer?
Well, probably from you.
Okay. I'm here right now.
Right.
Why don't we take the time to figure out what this problem is that you have? Right?
Yeah, you're just going head on, man. And making them move, making them take a step one way or another.
And you just get really good with asking tough questions.
Yeah.
There's no... So my personality isn't your personality. You may look, oh my goodness, I would never ask that question. You may be standing up in your chair like, yes, this guy is 100% for me. Somewhere you're going to be on that spectrum.
Right.
Like either
I'm the guy jumping for you.
Yeah.
Like I'm alone in my remodel listening to your podcast like, yeah, dude, I love this. But they're probably thinking I'm crazy.
But, at the end of the day, what you want to do is keep a list of tough questions. Mm-hmm. So before I go into a sales call, I might look at a list of tough questions that I'm willing to ask. I have them on my phone. If I go into a meeting, I'm like, hey, do you mind if I go use the restroom for a second? I might slip away into the restroom and peek into my phone and be like, oh, that's the perfect question to ask.
Yeah, smart. Gives you time to kind of reset, reboot, get it going.
And so here's something to think about too. Is like I'm drinking water today, okay? And right here, there's a microphone, so I'm putting it down very gently.
Smart.
So
Almost like you've done a few thousand videos.
something like that. So if I drink a glass of water, does it make you thirsty? Like you looking at this right now, are you kind of thirsty? And it kind of like gets your mouth to water. So like, let's say that you and I are sitting here at the table, and I'd be like, all right, Mike, have you seen enough to make a decision?
No.
No? What more do you need to see?
Yeah, I need to taste it. I need my own.
You need your own water. Okay. Let's say you say yes. I might go, it's really easy to get started. I just need a driver's license. Because like if you're doing in-home sales, a lot of things are financed.
Yeah, right.
And so I've literally had people get up out of their chair, walk 10 feet, and go, what am I getting a driver's license for? I'm like, because we're doing paperwork on the financing, silly.
Yeah.
Like I literally say, because we're doing paperwork on the finance. And they're like, I guess we are.
There you go. What's the worst that can happen? Right?
There's a moment of hesitation that everybody has with just about every big investment that they make in life. Do I do it? Do I not do it? Do I do it? Do I not do it? Right? And so when you take a look at it, at some point, you just have to ask people, are we doing this? Are we not doing this? And what is preventing us from moving forward?
I love it. I love it. You know, the reason that I really wanted to meet Scott and the reason I wanted to do an interview with Scott is because this is something I haven't touched on a lot you know, we teach a lot of people how to turn their craft into cash.
Yeah.
I sell a product, they learn how to use my product, they learn that they're really good at it. A lot of these people come from different backgrounds. Maybe they don't like their career. We've actually found a lot of people change their career to do the things in which I teach. The thing that I haven't taught is sales. I took that for granted because I've studied sales from a very young age.
Yeah.
What I didn't put together is people need to learn a great foundation for telling stories, for being comfortable in front of people, for asking for money, for closing a deal, and understanding the roots of a sale. So I think the value of going to Scott's content, again, it's going to be linked below, it could change your entire business. If you are no good at sales, I've taught you how to make an ad. Just watch what I do. I've taught how to get a lead. If you can get that lead, now it's time. What you unlocked for me today is I built cabinets for years.
Yeah.
Okay, I built cabinets for years. I also built like furniture. Well, furniture doesn't need an in-home measurement, right? Somebody can buy a table online all day long. Problem with that is China can produce tables. If I go into a house for a custom kitchen, they cannot buy that custom kitchen from China.
Yeah.
They have to have a tradesman come in, measure, design, build. Like, I'm securing my place in commerce by not being duplicatable.
Sure.
So I love your answer on, and this is a lot of people that watch me. If you create something that can be duplicated, that's fine, sell it. But if you provide a service that requires you to come in that house, sit down, break bread, talk with them, I think there's a lot of job security in that, and also a lot of scale that can't be duplicated by playing the price game.
So, like, think about this. If you're in the construction trades, in whatever jurisdiction that you're in, there's codes, there's ways that it has to be installed and ways that it has to be done. In California, if you have a window by a door that's 18 inches or less off the ground, it has to be tempered. It has to be tempered, right? So there's value to your knowledge to know that. Somebody who goes online and says, well, I want an XO window that is this size, and I want this type of beveled glass, but they don't know that it needs to be tempered, right? Like the difference between a pro versus a Joe is they know it needs to be done.
Right.
They know how that they got to take care of things. And so if you're a tradesman, there is value to all the calls that you've been on. There's value. Like I did heating and air for the longest time. I could look at a furnace and be like, oh, I know all the problems with that furnace. It's got a bad circuit board. The heat exchanger's got issues. It's got a bad blower motor. I could look at an air conditioner like, oh, those compressors tend to go out, or it's got a nosy fan motor, or it makes noise when it turns on. Like, there's value to that.
Yes.
And we tend to forget that we have value in our knowledge, our skills, our capabilities, and our talents.
Right. Wow. We do. You know, I've taken for granted things that you think is common knowledge, and it's not.
Yeah,
and when you could paint that picture, it also, you know, I gave a speech a long time ago, and it talked about the guy who prints on the side of his van 25 years experience.
Yeah.
They do that because we value that,
Yeah.
because he's been there, done that, he's seen it. Scott, man, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I guess I'd like to end this just by what does somebody need to know who's starting in their first business as a solopreneur? It's maybe mom and pa. What do they need to know to give them the best chances of success in selling their own product and service?
Consistent lead flow.
Talk about that a little bit.
So here's what happens is in Pirates of the Caribbean, there's a scene in one of the later films where they're running to both sides of the ship to flip the ship over.
Yeah.
And a lot of business owners, they get caught up in like, I got to go do sales, I got to go do marketing. Like they got to switch hats. And at some point, once you get good at one thing, you got to give up one of those skills and one of those talents to constantly acquire leads. Okay. Like deal flow is going to be the thing that's gonna make you successful. And so, you know, if I had to start over again, what I would study is offer creation. How are offers created? Because everybody says money off. You know, like money off is only so interesting, and it's going to attract a certain type of person.
Right.
So like I would literally go to the newspaper and line out, and I've done this, every type of special that there is, and create a cheat sheet. Right? Yeah. So is it money off? Is it percentage off? Is it buy one, get one free? And then like creativity is the addition or subtraction of ideas. Okay? So it's literally addition or subtraction of ideas. So can you take two ideas and combine them? Can you take one idea and cut it in half? Can you take an idea and multiply it? Right? And then find somebody to partner with. That's one of the things that I teach pretty much every week is like, who's somebody that has your client that you could partner with?
Can you give us an example of how that's worked?
Sure. So I've been trained by Jay Abraham.
Yes.
So like I got to give credit where credit's due. So he has a thing of asking, what do people buy before, during, after, or instead of your product or service? Okay. So if you do in-home services and you do construction and trade, you literally have a gold mine. If you only do windows, who do you know that does insulation? Right. If you only do windows and insulation, who do you know that does roofs? Because things happen in home cyclical about every 15 to 20 years.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, what can you do to generate lead flow, but not have to put all the work and effort into it? Hey, Mike, I know that you do granite countertops. Who do you have on your side that does windows?
Nobody.
Would you consider us getting together and trading leads where appropriate? And if I find somebody of value for you, would you consider finding somebody of value for me?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's an easy yes.
Okay. So, like, this is what I believe a good client is. They have all these attributes. This is what I believe a bad client is. So why don't we start with a small test?
Okay.
You know, over the next couple of weeks, you send me some people. I'll send you some people where it's appropriate.
Deal. I like that. Wow, that's organic. It's free. It's a win-win. And golly, I love everything. Because, you know, in countertops, in people watching, they're going to be doing plumbing, they're going to be doing electrical, they're going to be doing backsplash, tile, cabinet. I mean, carpet. Every trade there is.
Yeah. I mean, you're literally touching everything in the
house.
I
always say that remodeling is an addiction, and it leads to many more things. Yeah. And a good remodeler is also a marriage counselor. He knows how to come in, solve the problem between husband and wife of what they want and what the price is, and help that be smooth.
Mike, let me help you out, separate fact from fiction here. There's going to be a lot of people who come out and tell you that this job is going to be 2 weeks. Right, I've been doing this for a long time, and what you need to know is from the very beginning, I'm going to give it to you straight. This is a 2-month process, especially for supply chains and how everything's going. So if anybody's coming out here and telling you that they're going to get this work done in 2 weeks, it would be an automatic disqualification for me and my process and for what I know. Like, you got to be upfront with and tell people what to expect.
Yeah.
Your job as a salesperson is to set the expectations. If it's going to take 3 weeks, it's going to take 3 weeks. If it's going to take 2 months, it's going to take 2 months. You know what? And like, here's what's going to happen. There's going to be times where my crew's here, you're going to be frustrated. Just call me and let me know what's going on. Instead of stewing on it, give me a call. Like, there's a fine line from just saying here's what to expect to creating somebody who's going to just be a pain all the time and complain about every little thing that's going on.
Something that you talked about in one of your podcasts that I've really bought into is a problem doubles in size every day.
It does.
So if you follow up right now, which is what you're already doing, if there's a problem, give me a call. Yeah. I'm here to help, man. I think that's brilliant.
At one time, I managed 22 salespeople. Right, so I had 22 salespeople under my belt.
That's a babysitting job right there.
You know what? They were professionals, and like you know, they were good at what they did. But salespeople to close deals sometimes will go a little bit further than what they should and make promises they can't keep to close a deal to take a job from somebody else. You know, it was the role and responsibility of the install team to fulfill on those jobs and those duties. But what would happen is, let's say something went sideways, the salesperson would say, I don't want to talk to that homeowner. And I would be like, just give me the phone. Like, and people were surprised. You're not going to try to put me to voicemail or something. Like, no, tell me your problem. And they would tell me the problem. I go, is that it? No, we got more. Tell me the problem. And I would literally let them tell me all of their problems, all of their fears, all of their issues, all of their concerns. And then here's what you do. Well, what do you think is going to solve it?
Wow. Again, it's simple.
Yeah.
But it's you're a practitioner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've said before they need to say it 3 times. They're going to say the same thing 3 times, get it all out.
Okay, so I'm going to have to like make some generalizations here, okay?
Okay.
Typically, men are like, gosh darn it, I'm mad for these reasons. And you're like, okay. And they're like, all right, you want to have a beer?
Right.
Okay. And I don't mean this mean, but like women will harp on something until like they feel like you've heard them. Mm-hmm. And so they'll repeat it 3 to 5 times. And you just got to sit there and realize, okay, I'm on number 2, I'm on number 3. We're going to go 4 or 5. And then you just ask him, okay, now that you've discussed it, and now that the concern's on the table, in your mind, what do you think is going to solve it? Now give me an answer.
Better communication. Stop surprising me with these things.
We can make that happen. We can definitely make that happen. Now let's talk about money, right? Something went wrong in the house. Let's talk about money.
Okay.
So the job's $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
In your mind, what do you think is going to? Like, we've gone through tell me about what happened. In your mind, what do you think we should do from here?
I need a discount from what you guys said. It's not working out what you said, how you said it would. I need some kind of a discount.
Okay. And that's based upon what?
The time that I sat here for your installer to show up and they didn't show up.
Okay. What's an hour of your time worth?
Well, I had to take off work. I had to find a babysitter for my dog. And so, a few $100 at least.
So you're saying $250?
Yeah, that would be fair.
So if I discounted this job for $250, we're good, and that's it. That's the only thing you need from me.
Yeah, and don't do it again.
Done. So if you notice, like I'm locking it down. I had somebody that did the same exact thing. They nickeled and dimed. Mm-hmm. The sales guy made a promise. I got to go out there and fix it.
Yeah.
So the guy's pointing out all the problems. He had legitimate concerns. Scratched up the roof here. There's a dent in the air conditioner. Had to get a dry cleaner come in and clean some of the clothes. So I go, okay, in your mind, what do you think is going to solve this? And he tells me $500. I say, okay, so $500, we're done. There's nothing else. There's nowhere else to go. No, we're good. 2 hours later, he calls me and he's like, Scott, I need more of a discount. And I said, hold on.
Yeah.
Do you remember the conversation that we had?
Yeah.
And I said, $500, we're good and we're done. And you said yes. And he goes, yeah, I remember that conversation. I go, what's different now? He goes, I didn't realize that you got me to agree to not keep asking for more money. And so I asked him, so what do you think we should do? And he goes, well, I don't think you're going to give me any more money off. And I said, no, we're not. And he goes, I don't have anything else to talk about then. So like you have to shut down those concerns.
Yeah.
You have to take care of them, but you have to lock them down as well.
You get a commitment. I like that. Wow, man. This is gold, Scott. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to put all the information on how to find Scott. Here's what I'm going to ask for you and find out if this is coming down the pipe. I love your content, and I would love to be in the rooms of these companies that you're training. But what is your plan to train people at scale that maybe are 15 states away from you?
Sure.
How do you help those people? And what's your plans in the future there?
So there are companies that I travel to, and there is scalability for me. Like if somebody calls me and says, Scott, I got $1,000, I can't do a $1,000 gig, right?
Of course not.
I do have a course coming out that I'm putting together for in-home salespeople, for cross-trade, for cross-disciplines. And how I am is how I teach.
Yeah.
How I am is like, if you're like, I would never buy from Scott, don't buy from me.
Right.
Because like, I'm not going to teach you anything that you're going to use.
Right.
So, I do have some workshops that I'm going to be putting on and some processes I'm going to be putting in place. In the time being, I do have 210, as of today, 210 podcast episodes and, I don't know, 2,600 YouTube videos.
Yes.
Like I've got content out there.
I've watched the majority of your podcasts. I've noticed you aren't putting a lot of podcasts out right now, so I've been bummed.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting for the next episode. But guys, what I'd like you to do is let Scott know in the comments below how he could help you. And first, go check out his free content, because it is extremely valuable. If you just started there, you probably wouldn't need to talk to Scott for years. But if you're struggling in your business, in growing your business, and sales is the problem, really start at his content. And I would just encourage you, Scott, to help as many people as you can through the courses and the thing. Like, my audience is usually 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
They can't afford to have you come out to their house. But I guess the answer truly is in your organic content.
Well,
like,
the thing is
so valuable.
There always is a possibility of put together a group in Zoom. There's always a possibility of doing group coaching. So like that. So like, here's the thing: as an entrepreneur, you have to turn a problem into an opportunity.
Right.
So if there was enough people and if there was enough demand, I would do a Zoom for everybody and say, here's what we're going to cover, here's what we're going to go through, here's how we're going to make it happen. As an entrepreneur, you can't be rigid and say, these are the hard, fast rules, and under every circumstance, this is how it's going to be. You literally have to look for ways like, okay, I can't make it work this way. How can I make it work?
I like that.
Right?
I like that. I was just on a podcast this morning. Something we're talking about doing is a mastermind out here in Hawaii. So if we put on a mastermind, is that something you want to come speak at?
Is there a faster word than yes?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Guys, so we may do that, and if we do, it'll be limited, but we'll come out here and we will talk. I got so many ideas flowing. This has generated so much. I hope you're open in the future to more interviews and more. I just would love to keep this relationship. So thank you for your time, Scott. Anything you want to say before we sign off?
Look, we all face ups and downs in business, including me. Right? I don't want to sit in this chair and be like, my life is perfect. And if there's anything for you to take away, look, keep going. There's going to be a day that you wake up and you want to quit. There's going to be an afternoon where you feel like you won the lottery. And it can happen in the same day.
Right?
Right? But the key for you is, one, keep a journal. Like, you can go back and see what your life was like and where you were and how things are going. And 2, find like-minded people. I cut anybody who's a complainer, I cut them out of my life. I can't, like, chaos does not work for me. Complaining doesn't work for me. Like, there's a point where my empathy just runs out and I'm like, I got stuff to do. Sorry, I wish I could. But like, if you're in the entrepreneurial game, it's a bumpy ride. You wake up in the morning, you love it. Go to bed at night, you hate it. You wake up in the morning, you hate it. You go to bed at night, the next night you love it.
Yes.
It's normal. Like I said, somebody skipped out on 15 grand for me last week. I lost a client before that. Whatever problem that you lived through, I lived through too. But you got this. You can keep going. You'll be good.
Something that you just said is, you got this. And I don't know if you know this about me, but every one of my videos I end, and I have for years, with "you got this." We have it printed on our t-shirts.
Oh, cool.
And I love that saying. When I heard you say that, I go, I got to meet this guy. And guys, from Mike Quist, until next time, remember, you got this. We'll see you on the next video.
Aloha.
Aloha. Right on. Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
That was awesome, dude.
Is it what you expected?
Yeah.